What's going on, guys? TKD 123 video, and today we're going to talk about the crazy news that came out yesterday. Of course, it's already in probably the title and the thumbnail, and you probably heard about this news, crazy news, but I got some thoughts about this, and I feel this is pretty crazy in my opinion. So of course, we all know that a few weeks back, EA officially shut down Visceral Games, right? And they were working on a great Star Wars game with Amy Hennig. It was supposed to be like this nice mix of like Star Wars and Uncharted, which is absolutely amazing. Like, that is literally my two favorite things in life just combined in one, and they shut it down because they're looking for a more, you know, multiplayer centric direction where they feel like the market's going, and how it is a game that you buy once but it updates over time and everything, and it's not like a one and, you know, like you just have it once, you buy it once and it's done. They would rather have a game similar to like Overwatch where people buy it like a few years back and they're still playing it to this day, etc. So stuff like that. So they're aiming to have that type of thing as their way for the new Star Wars game or whatever. But of course, who knows, you know, there are a bunch of reports why they actually shut down Visceral Games. There's a bunch of reasons why, but you know, I feel one of the obvious reasons is because the, you know, actual game from Visceral was a little bit more focused towards a single player aspect. Now of course, that's not the full story, but I feel like that is definitely part of it, right? That's, I mean, it's pretty obvious here that is, you know, shouldn't be a part of it, right? But here today we have news here coming from IGN that EA has officially bought Respawn for $455 million, and that is crazy here. Now, if you guys don't know about Respawn, right, obviously if you're living in the rock, Respawn are the developers of TitanFall. They made TitanFall 1, which was Xbox exclusive. Then they got TitanFall 2, which was received very, very well, and it came out on all consoles, including PS4 and everything and stuff like that. And you know, the roots and the guts of Respawn come from ex-devs from the COD franchise, you know, more specifically Vince Zampella, you know what I'm saying? Like, they worked a lot on Modern Warfare 2, and there was a whole, you know, big drama, you know, thing where Vince Zampella wasn't given the right amount of money for Modern Warfare 2 and everything, so there was a big lawsuit and everything filed, and eventually they left, you know, Call of Duty and left Infinity Ward to go on to create Respawn here, and then they made Titanfall 2, etc. So, you know, for them to buy this is extremely telling a lot of what EA is directing towards, and I feel a little bit of a personal jab and a little bit of a smack in the face in terms of Visceral Games. And they say here that both of the companies are already working together on several projects, including a VR game and a Star Wars game, and a new, you know, game in the Titanfall franchise, which is obvious, but, you know, to just, you know, highlight here, you know, Respawn has been confirmed in the past, and they are still working on a Star Wars game, a third-person, you know, Star Wars game, right? And so, if we look at how Respawn has made their games in the past, right, like, for example, let's look at the one that they're working on right now, the one that they are currently supporting, Titanfall 2. They are getting just a ton of updates left and right. We always hear about them, and they do stuff for the season, whatever, and it is very much a lively game in the likes of Overwatch and Destiny 2. And overall, they really do kind of support their games in the same way that EA is looking to support, you know, the next Star Wars game and make it a big juggernaut money-making machine, essentially. So it is pretty obvious here that, you know, perhaps, you know, probably, again, not the full story, but we can look into definitely trends here and see that EA probably was looking at Respawn's Star Wars game, knowing that they, you know, are making a game that most likely falls into what they want to have under their slew of games. And that is a game that you buy once, and that it gets updated on and on and on, and people invest in the game, and they spend a lot of time in the game, and they spend money in the game through microtransactions and etc., loot boxes, all that good stuff. I mean, not good stuff, but, you know, all that stuff. And you know, the game overall is a consistent money-making machine as opposed to getting all their sales up front. And, you know, yeah, you might include a nice story DLC or whatever, but you know, like, you know, just mainly speaking here, you know, if you buy a game once, you know, and there's no additional content to it, then like what extra money would be made off it. And also, if you have a single player game that is only a buy once type of thing, of course people are less enticed to keep the game, then they trade it in, and then they don't make profits off of the additional game sales on top of that because they don't make money off of used game sales, etc. So all that, you know, just really, you know, does equal out to a loss when it comes to a single player game. And so bottom line here, I feel like EA bought Respawn, you know, obviously for multiple reasons, but one of the big ones is including a Star Wars game that most likely will have a replay value to the likes of Overwatch and Destiny 2, where it's a constant stream of content and people are, you know, able to spend money through microtransactions and really, you know, just support the game overall for a more longer basis. Respawn's head, Vince Zampella, said, quote, "The move brings the resources and support his company needs for its long-term success. We are excited to combine our strengths, is what he said about the whole thing. And he also said, quote, there will be no layoffs or major organization changes at Respawn, and currently in development are continuing as planned. All the games that were made and they are currently in development are still going as scheduled. So, what will come of this, right? Now, we can take Vince's word here, and I believe he's being truthful here. He's a very stand-up guy on Twitter and everything. Like, he seems to be a very, very nice gentleman, and really does, just give it to you how it is. But, it's clear here that he is happy about the resources and support that it will bring to his company. I definitely do believe that. I don't think that that's like a weird statement or a statement that's not true, whatever. However, for the majority of people, we were making jokes on Twitter saying that Respawn might die in the next few years because EA bought them, and it seems to be a trend here that EA just loves to kind of buy good studios with good reputation and then make them do things that they don't want to do. For example, with Visceral Games with Dead Space 3, how they forced them, and this is public knowledge, Visual has gone on the record and have stated this as fact that EA has forced Visceral Games, especially in Dead Space 3, to make the game a little bit more action oriented and to also put microtransactions into the game, even though they didn't want those things in the first place in the game at all. And so for this kind of angle, I feel like this is definitely might be a bad thing for Respawn, I feel, in the long term. And I feel like if I was an employee at Respawn, I'd be a little bit worried here, to be real. Like, I'd be a little bit suspect, you know what I'm saying? Like, because EA, clearly has no issue in just completely shutting down studios that they feel aren't worthy or they feel aren't viable, whatever, and stuff like that. And, also on top of that, what the craziest thing is still to me about, EA shutting down Visceral Games is that on the team, you had Amy Hennig. Now, of course, Amy Hennig, isn't no, priest, isn't no savior, isn't no just automatic, oh, your game's gonna be great. But she is a sign that your game is probably gonna be great, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's probably gonna be good, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we look at, I don't know, the small little series that is the Uncharted series that sold millions of copies, right? I mean, who knows, right? I mean, I'm just saying off of that. But, if you, clearly here look at Amy Hennig's work here, you would assume that, hey, this Star Wars game is gonna be good and people are going to like it, you know what I'm saying? And for them to cut off a studio with her involved in it, I feel like EA is just down to cut off anyone here at this point. Like, I feel like you could hire, Rockstar, goddamn it, or whatever. Like, they would probably cut them off too. But beside the point here, I feel like this is a move that can go either way. I feel like this can be a very good thing, obviously, if you enjoy those games that are, online centric, and you like how a game you buy it once and it continues to be supported throughout DLC and microtransactions, if you somehow like that and all that good stuff. I feel like overall this would be, overall like a nice move, and plus it'll give, Respawn more backing to make, this game better through its finances or whatever, stuff like that. But also I feel like, this is again telling of exactly what EA's motives here, is that they aren't really, bothered, they're not really focusing on having a, single player game that just might be good, you know what I'm saying? Like, they are just looking strictly for games that are multiplayer centric, and like, I don't want all of our games to be multiplayer centric. Like, I like a nice mix between the two. I feel like there is a nice balance that we can be reached between these two, or we can have a studio, hey, every 2, 3, 4 years they make an insanely good original story, like gameplay game, stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Or, we have also in that same rotation, we have every maybe annually or 2 years, we have a new game that is multiplayer centric and really hones in on that, multiplayer centric game style. But I guess EA doesn't want to do that. I guess they want, all their games to be this sort of thing, and I don't understand. Also, the thing is that they could have had this balance too. EA also has DICE. Like, they are making Battlefront 2, and Battlefront 2 seems to be the game that they exactly want to make, and that is a multiplayer centric game that focuses on microtransactions and focuses on the long tail of people spending a lot of time in the game. And I feel like they already have that with Battlefront, you know what I'm saying? And so to again buy Respawn to seemingly do the same thing with the game, and it just gets really weird here, because if they want to make a multiplayer centric game with Respawn, and like with Star Wars, how is it going to be different from Battlefront 2? You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, it'll be probably an original story with new characters, whatever, camera, stuff like that, but at its core, it's essentially looking at the same angle as Battlefront 2 here, you know what I'm saying? So I don't really know what the angle is there. I don't know, guys. I'm a little worried about Respawn and their likeliness, but as you know, Vince said right here, there is no layoffs currently made for the game. I mean, you know, on the studio, there is no layoffs that are going to be happening, and every game that is scheduled will come on time, and that is the new Titanfall, the Star Wars game, and a VR game that you know, they're working on as well. So that was the crazy news out yesterday. Yeah, let me know in the comments below, guys. Do you guys fear for Respawn's life? Because I sure as hell am. And that's all I got. So if you want to, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share down below. I'm pretty sure if you can give me. Thanks for watching, and as always, I got you.